So there's 3 macronutrients: fat, carbohydrates, and protein. So we need all of these things in our diets. But what we need to have is complex carbohydrates. Complex. So we're talking whole grains, millet, quinoa, brown rice. You can also have whole grain products like soba noodles or bread, as long as they're whole. But you want to get most of your carbohydrates from whole grains, like the actual whole grain, not a grain product. Does that make sense? And then for protein, we want simple protein. So simple protein, So simple protein is like beans and tofu and tempeh. And of course, everything has protein, even vegetables and grains have protein. So we want simple proteins. And then in fat, we ideally want to have very low fat in our diet, like 5 to 10%, and it be more whole foods, like nuts and seeds and avocado. The standard American diet is made with complex protein, being animal foods, that's complex protein, and is full of simple carbohydrates, like sugar, white rice, white flour. And it's high in fat, 30, 40%. So that's the standard American diet. That's what we want to get away from, because that's a recipe for disease and disaster. So this is what you want to stick with. But what's more important than macronutrients is the micronutrients. That's what we're really missing, the micronutrients. We really should be eating as many micronutrients as possible, like filling half of our plate with vegetables. So if you want to saute in water instead of oil, or veggie broth or something like that. And in the summer, we're going to briefly talk about seasonal eating. In the summer, intuitively, your body doesn't want heavy oil saute or heavy baked things. It wants more light things, things that are more water dense, like steaming and water saute and raw foods, because your body wants to be cool and hydrated while it's hot outside. It's not quite hot yet, but we're moving into more spring, summer. So you want to transition out of more heavy baked foods and oil saute and long cooked foods and into more lighter cooked foods. That's the things I live by and teach, is the good, better, best policy and the 80-20 rule. If you can eat 80% of your diet to be really healthy and you fudge 20%, no big deal. Because, you know, life is short, unless you eat a plant-based diet, then it's longer. But, you know, like, you want to be able to share with your family, you want to be able to go places with your friends, you want to be able to go to a wedding and be able, you know, I won't compromise as far as eating meat or dairy. I keep my diet vegan, but, you know, sometimes I have sugar because I want it or I can't avoid it. But once you eat healthy and you get clean and you understand how your body functions and what it wants, you learn what it needs and wants so that you can make conscious decisions. But if you're polluted with all this junk in there and you don't take the time to get clean and eat really healthy for like 3 months or so and sort of detox that stuff out, then you never really know. You can't listen, you don't even know when you're hungry or when you're not, if it's just your mind that's wanting the food and not your actual body. Like, it's just, life is so much better. Like, people think, oh, that's so, you're denying yourself of so many pleasures and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, no, I have plenty of pleasure. I get pleasure out of whole foods and, you know, things that are sweetened without sugar. I get plenty of pleasure from that. It tastes good to me because my palate is now clean and my body wants that food. You know what I mean? And the thing is we can't be rigid and dogmatic, because what works for you today may not work for you next week, may not work for you a year from now. I've been vegan 8 years, and my diet is completely different than it was even 2 years ago. So you have to be flexible with yourself. You have to be patient and flexible, because everything changes. Your lifestyle might change. Your work might change. You may have kids. Your time, you might not have as much time anymore. Like, everything is, you have to just go with the flow and just feel out what works.